Well, good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great Monday night. We're just going to do a little chatting here, talking about the latest on Tropical Storm Erin. So, as we start to get into this time of year, we start to head more toward the peak of hurricane season, which is generally around the first week of September. So we're kind of getting on into the wheelhouse over the next few weeks or so. So this one is going to become a hurricane, and it will become a major hurricane, all the models. So the question is, what kind of track does it take? This is the latest. This was the 5 p.m. advisory, so there'll be another one coming out at 11. But this gives you the idea. Obviously, this is many, many days away. A lot of ocean to go over. 45-mile-per-hour winds. Just announced there's a tropical storm today. Let's go forward. And again, this track can and probably will change either a little or a lot as we go through the next week. Notice we get out to Saturday afternoon and it's still not even quite there to, north of Puerto Rico there. So we're looking at tropical storm force strengthening, but still tropical storm force through Wednesday, and at some point Wednesday night into Thursday morning, it's projected to become a Cat 1 hurricane. So that would be right in here, so you can see on the timelines. 1, and then go into a Category 2, a Category 3, of course, 5 being the highest. So once you get to Cat 3, it's considered a major hurricane. So that's the latest track. And again, there will be some change to this as we go through. Let me show you some of the spaghetti models that go along with it. There's the GFS group here. So what you're going to see is generally in that red line there is going to be kind of the consensus of where this is going. There's Bermuda here. So if it does this, it'll be what we refer to as a fish storm because it doesn't affect us. The fish are the only ones that see it. So, except for the folks in Bermuda if it continues this way. But it would basically be a storm that stays out at sea if this happens. Of course, the margin of error, it could turn even sharper and go out, or it could do this. So there are some outliers that do try to kick it on off toward the Bahamas and eventually toward either Florida or our coast of the Carolinas here. That could happen. But you saw the track from the Hurricane Center. It's generally kind of following along with this. Let me go to another suite of models here. Here's the Euro group. So what we're going to see here is somewhat similar. There's some consistency between these two with the exception of the Euro. Notice how it doesn't curve. We use Bermuda as a reference. It doesn't curve quite as straight up that way. It wants to continue on off heading toward the U.S. coast a little bit more. Now, I have looked at some of the longer model data with reflectivity, in other words, showing what it would look like, future view style like we normally see. And it does eventually curve it and keep it out over the ocean. So it would also be a fish storm in that regard as well. So, but again, you do have some outliers here that kind of want to kick off a little bit more toward the west, but the general consensus is either this way or a little sharper turn up toward Bermuda here at this point. Again, things can change. This is a look at the typical long-range models that I'll show. The GFS and the Euro are two long-range. Euro's underneath here in blue. GFS is in green. And you'll see that they're pretty much in lockstep until a little bit toward the end. So let's go forward. There's Thursday, Friday. As we go forward into Saturday, it takes a long time at 20 miles an hour to go over the entire Atlantic Ocean. This is a week from now, and it's still out over open water. Now, interesting on this latest run, though, is if you remember, the GFS kind of was doing a turn like this, up toward Bermuda this way. And whereas the Euro is a little bit more like this as far out as it goes. But if you look at where they are now, the GFS is actually on this latest model run farther toward the west than the Euro underneath here is. So the question is it going to make that turn? And the models are pretty confident that it would stay off the U.S. coast for the most part, or is it going to want to kind of get kicked off straight toward the west here? Still a lot of ifs with that, so something to watch as we go through this week on into the weekend, into the start of next week, if there were to be an impact for us. I think it would be probably toward the middle of next week. So you're talking a week and a half out. Obviously, computer models can change. There's a lot that can change between now and then. So clearly this is just us kind of getting our first look at it. And we'll see how it goes across the board. Now, if you're just joining us, I'm going to walk you back through. This is the latest track. 11 o'clock tonight, there'll be another one to come out, but I want to jump on here tonight just to give you an idea of what it's thinking. So again, Tropical Storm Erin for now. And again, winds 45 miles per hour, so not a big deal right now. Moving west at only 21. So again, it's going to take some time, and it should pick up a little forward speed as we go toward the weekend there. But right now, just sort of dawdling. We're looking at 60, 70 mile per hour winds, and sometime possibly Wednesday night into Thursday morning could become a hurricane, which would be our first. Category 1, and then a 2, and then a 3. Of course, you know the Saffir-Simpson scale goes 1 to 5. 5 obviously being the worst and what you don't want. But even once you get to a 3, that's considered a major hurricane. And this only goes out to Saturday. So, I mean, we'll see as each day goes on, they keep adding more time stamps on the end of here. Maybe it even goes up from a 3. We'll see. But again, that's just taken into kind of the consensus of these different spaghetti models. Here's one group here. Again, kind of taking that red center line as an average. There's Bermuda there. So again, and some of the things I've been looking at show that this kind of does this and then curves back out. The Euro was a little bit more like this and then curving. So again, all this can change, but if either one of these scenarios were to take place, then it would not affect us. But it's a week and a half out, so things can change. So again, all it takes is for one of these to be right. And then you're talking about something that's a little more in our wheelhouse, but we'll know as we get closer. Let's go forward on another group. As I talked about, the Euro wants to stay a little bit more heading, I don't know, I'd just say longer before the turn. It wants to stay out here a little bit more, whereas the GFS was kind of going up here. Now that was on that spaghetti model run. I just showed you on the reflectivity, or in other words, the future view radar, it had it still more over here on the GFS. So we'll see if it starts trending a little more, I don't want to say flat, but what I'm saying is instead of doing a sharp turn like this, does it stay out a little bit more? And obviously any jog toward the west here starts putting it closer and closer into our conversation. And again, the GFS in the green with a little bit of yellow there. Underneath it, perfectly on top, is the Euro in blue. So you just watch and see, do those two color blobs kind of stay together. And they're in pretty good agreement going through Friday into Sunday. You can see the blue underneath there. And they're still pretty close together. Like I said, though, the odd thing is, if you look at some of those spaghetti model plots from the GFS, they started turning a little bit more up here. On this future view run, it's over here. This is the GFS. So it actually is farther west than the Euro, which is kind of opposite of what the spaghetti models are showing right now. So what does all that mean? Well, it just means we have many, many days to watch this. Again, if you're just joining us, if it were to impact us at all, it would be probably toward the middle of next week. You know, starting to get into Tuesday, Wednesday, going off the latest speed and timing and all that with all this. So that's the latest track. Again, at 11, we will have some new stuff, and there'll be updates coming out throughout the day, every day this week. So it's important that we don't get too locked in on one solution and say, oh, this is totally a fish storm, meaning it's just going to stay out over the ocean. Could it still make landfall along the U.S. coast? It could. Right now, the models are not necessarily calling for that. There's the possibility of it in some of those spaghetti models. Again, if you just take the track from where it is now and does it do that more? We're going to have to wait and see, or does it turn a little bit more toward, does it go a little bit more toward our coast? We'll have to wait and see. I mean, this is obviously Saturday, so a lot can change over the coming days. All right, so that's the latest on that. We will be updating you, obviously, online, on air, here on 13 WMAZ Plus. There'll be no shortage of ways to hear about Erin, and we'll be talking about it a lot, again, at least a week before it even gets anywhere close. And, of course, we'll know changes each day as it goes along, but it's got a whole lot of water to go over before it really even gets into the full conversation with us here. But just want to give you the latest update on that. Have a great night.